What's up, y'all? My name is Jordan, and welcome to a brand new episode of Love Does Cost a Thing. If you're returning, you obviously see somebody's not here. She is sleeping, okay? She needed some rest, y'all. Her body going through some stuff. She got a little sniffle or whatever. So, yeah, she definitely needed to get some rest today. So I'm holding down the fort, and today's episode is going to be another banger. If you are new, welcome to the show. Usually there's a really, really fine young woman next to me. Who is my wife, praise the Lord Jesus. And she is going to be back with us next week. I'm going to hold down the fort today, and we're going to be talking about 3 things that I wish I knew before I became a husband. So if you are trying to become a husband, or maybe you're looking for your boo, maybe you want to send him this video once you meet him, or maybe y'all already courting or whatever, shoot it to him. Let me handle it. Let me take it from here. Okay? So I'm going to start with number 3, then I'm going to go to 1. But before we get into it, shouts out to Unashamed Apparel, the one and only. ShopUnashamed.com, ShopUnashamed.com. They are the official sponsor of Love Does Cost a Thing. Okay, you can get a 10% discount code using the code LDCAT. It's been a long weekend, okay? LDCAT for 10% off of your entire order. ShopUnashamed.com. Let's get into it. I'm looking at my notes because I want to be concise, y'all. It's been I'm tired. Okay, just simply put. But let's get into it. Number three is this. Life is not linear. Okay? Life is not linear. And it's okay to run your race. I have to admit, at the beginning, I had this vision. I still had the vision, but a lot of what my vision was, or I would say may have been fueled by, weren't places that were completely genuine or Holy Spirit led. And so some of the things that I desired or wanted or set to achieve, right, weren't necessarily coming from, I wouldn't use the word genuine, but I would say a place that's true to TGE or Team Green LS. And so being the head of the household, being the one that's responsible, being the vision caster, I think that it's important to understand that, sometimes things won't go as planned, right? And usually, right, at least for me, I found that when things didn't go as planned, it wasn't necessarily because, like, I couldn't or it wouldn't, but it was just because, this ain't for us, right? So I want to encourage you guys, especially the husbands, as you are envisioning what your marriage is to look like, what the years to come are to look like, right? I want you to really, really search your heart and examine where those things are coming from. If it ain't coming from Holy Spirit, if it ain't coming from Him, throw it out the window. Because there's a whole lot of people who are publicly balling and privately falling. Don't get it twisted. 50% of marriages end in divorce. There's a whole lot of people out here just lying, okay? Making it seem like they got it, but they don't. And I will admit that I fell short in that area to where I had allowed some, not a whole lot, but some areas of my heart to be influenced by those things, particularly like in the area of money and like material things and whatnot. And those things are coming, all of that type of stuff. But there was some real examining. I had to reevaluate why I was thinking the way that I was thinking, because ultimately it was, number one, a distraction, and number two, it became a bit of a stressor because, it's like, why aren't these things happening? It's like, it ain't supposed to happen, or maybe it's just not right now. Your focus is off because you're looking at the wrong thing. I was actually having a conversation with a family member not long ago about relationships and whatnot, and I was telling her, I was saying, hey, like, it's important to steward well the season that you're in while you're preparing for the next. And so, for example, earlier on, I wanted to take Juanita on these lavish vacations and all these things, right? And like, we would do trips and stuff like that. But when I left my job, money changed, right? And so starting a brand new career, especially an entrepreneurial style career like mine, like I'm a speaker, it was Jesus. It was hard, okay? Especially in the area of, like finances. And so that was a drastic change in our lives. And so we had to change our expectations. And so because my heart was set in a particular way, it was hard for me to deal with. Because like, whoa, like we can't, like, nah, because that's not the season that you're in. And that's okay. That's why I say life is not linear. You steward well the season that you're in right now while you're preparing for the next. So there was years where we would go on like cruises and things like that. And then there were years where I would just invite friends over and we would just have like, I would blindfold Juanita and I would walk her around and surprise her with like all of like our wedding party and whatnot, like something special like that, because that's the season that we were in. Hope this makes sense. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I know y'all are dying to hear Juanita, but she'll be back next week. Let's go to the number 2 one. The second thing that I wish I knew about being a husband before I became a husband is that it's okay to show your wounds. Now, Juanita and I have always had a pretty transparent relationship, a pretty vulnerable relationship. I would say that I'm pretty much a lover, like like generally speaking. And so when Juanita and I started dating, we hit it off, and I was always pretty like open with her for the most part, as she's mentioned in the show too. But when we got married, it was totally different. And here's the reason why. We didn't live together before we got married. And so we didn't have that experience. So, yeah, I mean, newsflash, you can't really hide from somebody that you, I mean, you can, but if you are vulnerable, as you should be in a marriage, it's going to be pretty hard to hide from the person that you live with. And I won't say that I was trying to intently hide, but I would still say that there were some areas in my life where I was afraid to be vulnerable with Juanita about. And it's vital because when you are a union, right? Like think of, like, let's just conceptualize the term union. It's two becoming one. You guys are a joint force. You're stronger together. So it would be to your advantage to fight as a conjoined army as opposed to two separate like mini armies, if you will. I hope this makes sense. This is why I like to have Juanita here, because I can bounce stuff off of her and kind of check in. But it would be to your advantage to operate as one. And so I'm talking about in those deep like secret types of areas. There were things that before Juanita and I got married that I plan to take to my grave. A lot of people won't believe me when I say Juanita knows everything about me, and she really does. And I've made it that way. While I've grown to the point that it become that way. It's just better when you do things together, when you are literally on the same page. How can two walk together unless they agree? And so it's important for Juanita to know my flaws, my shortcomings, where my mind is, how I'm feeling about this particular thing, even when it's not like preacher Jordan or holy Jordan or prophetic Jordan, right? Or like any of those things that people try to attach to my identity, which are all true, but like at home, I'm just me. You know what I mean? And so, not to say that I was putting on a front for my wife. I definitely wasn't. But I'm talking about, and some people just won't understand. Others will know exactly what I mean. I'm talking about those deep, deep, deep areas that only you and God know. So I hope that makes sense. Number 2 thing was, I wish that I knew that it was okay to like show my wounds, like be completely vulnerable, literally let it all hang out. Because when you do, right, you guys are now able to be like get on the same page, you know? So yeah, that was one thing that I wish I knew. Number 1 thing that I wish I knew before I became a husband is I wish I knew to prioritize getting to know my wife's personality, not like on a surface level, but again, this concept of like way, way beyond the surface, right? And when I say getting to know her personality, what I mean is her really specifically her preferred way of communication. I don't think we talked about love languages on the show. Maybe we will sometime soon. But there's also a such thing called the languages of apology. Same guy, Dr. Gary Chapman. You can look it up. This is one of the things that Juanita and I do with any couple that we counsel. Love languages and languages of apology, right? And so the concept is the same of what I'm about to explain, okay? Everyone has a preferred way of communication, just like how they have a preferred way to receive apology and a preferred way to receive love. And so I wish I prioritized getting to know how my wife processed, especially during conflict, so that I could yield to her preferred way of communication. Excuse me. because what it'll ultimately do is that it will help us to yield a better result faster. And it's not to say that you should rush through those types of things, but I'm just saying, like, things don't have to linger as long. It doesn't have to be as gruesome. It doesn't have to be as painful. We can just get straight to it. And enjoy the process along the way. I really wish I knew to do that. And it's really helped me overall that as a communicator, consultant, whatever, understanding that everybody has a preferred way of communication, especially when things are a little contentious, and that's okay. But in order to get to the right result, I think that there has to be a mutual understanding. So as a husband, I really want you to prioritize, just like how I've had to do, prioritize the way that prioritize yielding to the way that your wife prefers to communicate, so that y'all can get to a quicker result. You probably have some questions or an alternative perspective. I'm open to it. I'm welcoming it. Drop it in the comments below. Y'all, I'm done. I'm tired. Okay, I hope that you learned something from today. Next week, Juanita will be well. She will be back, and we'll give you another brand new episode of Love Does Cost a Thing. My name is Jordan again. This is Love Does Cost a Thing. Make sure you subscribe. If you've got a question, there's a link in the description, or you can just drop it in the comment section. If you want to make a donation, there's a Cash App in the description. Send whatever you can, whatever's on your heart. We will greatly appreciate it. Again, my name is Jordan. We're missing my lovely wife, Juanita, but she'll be back next week, y'all. I'm signing out, but I'll see you soon.